Okay, this video is very long. I talked for 32 minutes about defense without like no script or preparation or anything. So I'm going to kind of give like a summary right here at the start. That way you don't have to sit through the full 30 minutes. I think it's helpful information, but I understand not everyone wants to listen to me talk about defense for 30 minutes. Basically, what I recommend doing is when you start the game, look at the different sets of armor, like what armor upgrades into what, and pick one to craft. Any defense set that any piece of armor that has 40 defense can get you to 171 defense if you're using 45 defense rings and a good shield and helmet. However, the only ones that are viable for getting to 181 defense are Nightmare Dress 2 and Modena Dress 4, assuming you don't have any 50 defense rings. So just you play the game, look at which armors, see which one you like, and most sets are competitively viable, allowing you to get to that 171 defense. Anyways, enjoy this very long video of me yapping for 30 minutes. See you guys later.
Okay, so this video is going to be on how to reach the different defense milestones in Pixel Survival 2 without needing any Master Key luck. Defense is the most important stat in the game, and everyone should strive to get to at least 151 as quickly as possible. Now, past this, I think your end game goal should be 171 defense if you don't plan on using Master Keys to get up higher, as 181 defense without Master Keys is really difficult. And 161 defense is not too bad to get, especially if you're going for Nightmare Dress or a 40 defense armor, which I'll get to in a sec. But just know going into the game, you should try to get to 151 as fast as possible. And then with whatever gear you plan to get, have it be able to get you to 171 at some point in your playthrough. So, all the rings used are either going to be 40 defense or 45 defense, as these can be obtained from more ways than just Master Keys. And so we're going to start off here, and the main thing to look at is your armor, right? Your armor is kind of going to dictate your whole build, as shields and helmets, there aren't as many of them, and there isn't as much variation in them. So we're going to start at our lowest tier if your armor is giving 30 defense, right? If you get a 25 defense shield, this can drop from the Santa Boss as the Red Dream Shield or from Master Keys. Then you only need an 11 defense helmet to hit 151. But keep in mind, that is using 45 defense rings, so it will be a lot harder to hit early game than later game. You can also do it with a 13 defense helmet and a 23 defense shield, or a combination of the two, so you could do a 24 defense shield and a 12 defense helmet. These are just showing the extremes with both a high defense shield and a high defense helmet. But this is, again, using a 45 defense ring. And so as we go down, right, the armors are slowly going to build up to more and more defense, making it easier and easier to hit that 151 range. And so with the 131, again, you're needing a 45 defense ring. There are only 3 armors with 31 defense, and you probably shouldn't go for any of them. With 32 defense, you can do it with 2 40s, but it's really expensive. As you can see, you're needing a 14 defense helmet, which is a lot harder to get than a 12 or 13 defense helmet, but it is possible to do. So just keep that in mind. And at the end, I'll go through all the armors and show their defense. But really, once you get to 34 is about where we want to start, as this is where Hell Armor 2 sits at, is 34 defense, and it is the easiest armor to get in the early game and the quickest armor to get. And so, as you can see, with a 25 defense shield, you only need a 12 defense helmet. And then, again, 14 defense helmet with a 23, but most likely, this would be 24 defense shield and a 13 defense helmet, as you can get that through Nightmare Helmet 2 and some other ones, which, again, I'll show later on. But then as you go up in defense, just the easier it gets to 151, right? So 35s, this could be from Modena Dress or Skull Dress 3. You're only needing a 25 and an 11, or this could be a 24 here and a 12 here, right? And so as you go on and on, the higher your defense, the easier it is to get to 150, right? So if you're at a 40 defense armor and you get a 20 defense shield, you still only need a 12 defense helmet. So this could be like you get a 40 defense armor, whatever it may be, right? Skull Dress 4, Snow Dress 2. There are a bunch of others, doesn't really matter. And then you just get Modena Shield and Ghost Hat, and that's 152. Again, that's not a great build, but it's just a way to get to that 151 milestone as quickly as possible. And I don't think I mentioned this at the start, but the reason you want to hit to 151 is that's where the second defense boost, but the really major one is once you get to 151, you'll be able to solo Nightmare Valley relatively comfortably as long as you avoid bosses. Anyways, now we're going to move on to the 161 defenses. And so starting off with the armors from 38 to 39 defense, these include things like Dragon Spine, Dress of the Lich King, and Richie Dress 1. You're going to need at least 145 defense ring for all of these to get to 161, but you'll see it's a little difficult. You're going to need a 25 defense shield, which you can get from farming the boss in Snow Valley, and a 13 defense helmet, which is not the worst thing in the world. And then here, I just want to show it was possible, but you're probably not going to be making Nightmare Helmet 3, which is the only 15 defense helmet in the game, just to get to 161. That'd be something later on to get to 170 or 180. But yeah, and then we get down to the 40s, which is where it's more likely you're going to get to 160. And as you'll see here, without any 45 defense rings, if you make Nightmare Shield 3, and again, this says 15, we could even put this down to 14, and you're still there, right? So you could make, let's say you make Skull Dress 4, right? This is the armor I use. You could then make Nightmare Shield 3 and the Pumpkin Helm, and that gets you straight to 161. And if these are both 45 defense rings, that will get you to 171. So just keep that in mind. But then if you have a singular 45 defense ring, it's significantly easier to get up there. As you can see, a 25 defense shield, and you only need an 11 defense helmet. So this could be something like Lava Helm. Now, the 25 defense shield is something I recommend everyone get. You can pay for Santa carries for 1 to 2 Vulcan per Santa kill, and getting that shield is a huge step up in letting you get to 150 and 160 defense. Now, as we go down, we've got 142 defense. So this comes from things like Modena Dress 2, Richie Dress 2, right? And here, it's just like a little bit easier. So if you have your 25 defense shield, you only need 9 defense in your helmet. So this could be something like Royal Helm, right? Or if for some reason you only have a 23 defense shield, you still only need an 11 defense helmet. Or if you don't have a 45 defense ring, right, you only need Nightmare Shield 3 and then just a normal 12 defense helmet. Or what you could even do is if you have a 25 defense shield, you could then make a 14 defense helmet, right, as I showed there, and it updates in real time to get to 161. So this could be, you get your Red Dream Shield from Santa, and then you craft Dr. Pumpkin 2 to get up to that 161. Then as we go down, from 45 defense, this is coming from the Nightmare Dress, Skull, or Hell Armor 5, I believe, Skull Dress 5. A bunch of the late game armors give 45 defense, as I'll show later. And this is without any 45 defense rings. It's really easy to get to 161. You just kill some Santas for this, and then you craft Lava Helm, or you craft Dr. Pumpkin 1, because if you get craft Dr. Pumpkin 1, right, that goes up to 12. And, oh, that's the wrong number. That goes up to 12, and then you get to 162 defense. So it's pretty easy if you get a 45 defense armor to get to 161. And then if you also have a 45 defense ring, it just makes it even easier. I mean, look at this. With a 20 defense shield and 11 defense helmet, you're still there. So it's not that hard to get up there. And even then, you could have a 6 defense helmet, right? If I change this real quick. Boom. You're there, right? So 161 is needed to do ice caverns specifically, as if you are below 160 defense, enemies will deal an extra 40 damage per hit, making it super hard to survive. So that Santa's base damage is 164. If you're at 160 or less defense, he's going to be doing a 204 damage to you. So it's really important you hit that 161 milestone at the very least. And then once you get this 161, you can choose if you want to go more defense or build into other stats like stamina, damage, health even, that sort of thing. And so now we're going into 171 defense. And this first one at the 39 defense was kind of here just to show it's possible. But I don't know why you would ever do this, personally. And here's why, right? If you're running 2 45 defense rings and you're using Richie Dress 1, because again, it's the only armor in the game. Nope. There's two. It's one of the only armors in the game that give 39 defense. You need to craft both Nightmare Shield 3 and Nightmare Helm 3 to hit 171, when it would be much easier to just craft, again, in this 42 range, Richie Dress 2, and then you only need to get one armor. And if you look here, you can also do 25 14. So if you have a 42 defense piece of armor with two 45 rings, you just need your 25 defense shield and a 14 defense helmet, which again, Dr. Pumpkin 2 is like the meta for helmets right now because it gives high defense and is relatively easy to craft. It doesn't take that many materials, and all its secondary stats are really good. So if you ever see something where it's 25 defense and 12 or 14 defense over here to get to your milestone, I would recommend that highly, as it's not that hard to do compared to other options. Now, if we keep going down again at 40, you can get there with a Nightmare Shield 3 and a, I believe it is the Dr. Pumpkin 2. And what's the other 14 defense? Richie 3. You can also do it with Richie 3 to get here on 40 with a 40 defense piece of armor. Then we go down, 45 defense. This is where most armor sets will get you, apart from, I believe, Witch Dress does not go up to 45. It caps out at 40. But almost every other armor set gets up to at least 45 that you want to do. And here, as you can see, it's pretty easy to get to 171. Here, I don't know why this has a 15 here when this can go way down to like... What would that be 13? Yeah, so you only need 13. If you're using a 23 defense shield, I would not recommend using a 23 defense shield. You can buy Moonquip Shield, which gives 24 defense for gems. Or, like I said, I would recommend just paying other people Vulcan to carry you through Santa kills to get that 25 defense shield. But with the 45 defense armor, Nightmare Dress 1 is the most relevant one. It's pretty easy to get to your 171, and you can even do it with only one 45 defense ring. Now, we're going to go down 47 defense. This comes from Modena Dress 4, and as you can see, it's pretty easy to get to 171. You make Nightmare Shield 3, and then one of these. You can also... Does this really need to be... Okay, this... I don't know why you do this. You could just do a 25 defense shield. Oop, my bad. There's a... You just get a 25 defense shield, make your Dr. Pumpkin 2, and then you're at 171 with only one 45 defense ring. And then continuing on with that 47 defense, if you have two 45 defense rings, it's really easy to get to your 171. Like, look, this can even go down to 7, and you're there. So, again, if you're wanting it to 171, I recommend having at least a 40 defense armor, which again, I believe almost every set in the game will get you here. Right? Even if you run the Witch set, which I think is a pretty good set, it gives, I believe, 28 health and 28 mana. It's Witch Dress 3 gives 40 defense, so you can get to that 171 milestone. You just won't be able to get any higher than that, or any milestone past that. You'll be able to get a little bit higher defense than what I've shown here, but it'll be very difficult. And then finally, with Nightmare Dress 2, the highest defense armor in the game, you can get to 171 defense. Again, this can be a 14. Doesn't need to be 15. Because it's way easier to get a 14 defense helmet than a 15 defense helmet, in my opinion. But with two armor ring 5s, or just two 40 defense rings, you can get 171. That's like the greatest strength of Nightmare Dress 2, is you don't need to get any 45 defense rings to hit that 171 barrier, but you will have to expend 10 dark hearts to do it. These two combined are 5 dark hearts, and Nightmare Dress is another 5 dark hearts. So it's 10 dark hearts to do it without any 45s. But then if we switch to 45s, it's real easy. Again, these were just showing the extremes, but if we put this down to a 25, and this up to... Whoa. Whoopsie daisy. And this up to an 11, right? With 145 defense rating, you get to 171, and that's not too hard to do. This could even be a 12 if you want to do Dr. Pumpkin 1, and that gets you to 172. And then if you have two 45 defense rings with your 50 defense armor, I mean, look at this, 24 and 8, and that's still you need a 172. So if we put this up to 25 even, and put this up to 10, you can get to 175. So that makes it really easy. And as much as I dislike Nightmare Dress 1 and 2, it is the meta right now. If you want to get high defense as fast as possible, that is what I would recommend doing. And then finally, we've got 181. And all of these use two 45 defense rings. And so we're going to start with 45 defense armor. This is unreasonable, and I'm going to say that right now. You need the reinforced Face of Makara shield, which I believe no one in the game currently has because of how hard it is to get, and Nightmare Helm 4, which is extraordinarily difficult to get too, needing a bunch of Sky Stones. So even though you can hit 180 with 45 defense armor, it's probably not going to happen unless you get a ring with 50 plus defense, which I'll talk about later. 46 defense is the same thing. There's no 16 defense helmet, and there's no 28 defense shield, so it's just as hard. This would be using Snowdress 3 for whatever reason. I would not recommend crafting that at this current moment unless they add Snowdress 4. Now, we're getting into where it's more possible. If you make Modena Dress 4, you then would only have to make Nightmare Shield 3 instead of that Reinforced Face of Makara, and you will sadly still have to craft the Nightmare Helm 4, but that is a way to get to 181, and this is what I am currently working on right now, right? I'm going to get to 171 first, which I believe I showed right here. No, where's it at? Yeah, it'd be right here. Only I'm not to that 47 armor, right? I'm still at the 40 defense armor. And so this is what I'm working on right now. And then once I make that helmet, then I'm going to start working on that Modena dress, and then finally the Nightmare Helm. And then last up, the armor that almost everyone makes now, Nightmare Dress 2, with 245 defense rings. You can do it relatively easily. You still need to make your Nightmare Shield 3, but then you can just make Dr. Pumpkin 2, whoopsie, and get to that 181 defense. So now I want to go through just kind of all the gear and to show what each one does, right? So we're going to start off with armor. Let me zoom in a little bit more. So we're going to start off here with so we've got your defense here and the armor here. So starting with the 30 defense armors, you've got your Mid-Autumn Fairy Dress, which I do not recommend buying, Emperor's Dress 2, which could be worth it to make, as well as Skull Dress 2. So those are what all give your 30. The 31s don't really matter. 32s, again, Emperor's Dress 3 is kind of the only one that really matters here that you might be crafting, which, like, if we go over here, right, your 30s, you're going to need a 45 to get to 151, and your 32s, you do not need that. So if you did Dr. Pumpkin 2, Red Dream Shield, Emperor's Dress 3, that would be a pretty solid build. But we're going to keep scrolling down. Right, we get into those 34 defense armors. This will Hell Armor 2, Witch Dress 2. Those two are kind of the main ones that shine in here. Hell Armor 2 being the easiest to get, but if you wanted to run the Witch Dress route, you can get to that 34 defense. And then 35 defense, right? We've got 4 options here. Modena Dress, it's rare, but it's really good. Like I said, it can upgrade to that Modena Dress 4, which gives 47 defense, which is higher than most armors. Hell Armor 3, Skull Dress 3. Both of these upgrade. Their final set has 45 defense, so you can get to that 171, but not quite that 181. Then finally, Christmas Dress 2, it upgrades to having 43 defense. So it'll be harder to hit 170, but it'll still be possible, and it has really good health and mana. Going up here, the 37s don't matter too much. Emperor's Dress 4, if you want to craft it. It's expensive, but it's really good. The 38 defense, Dragon Spine is the only one that really matters, and you can get to 161 with Dragon Spine, right? Like if I scroll back over here, right, we got our 38s here. You're going to need 145 defense ring, but it's still relatively easy to get to that 161 with a 38 defense armor. Going down, the 39s really matter. Here we've got our 40s. So, right, you got your Hell Armor 2, Skull Dress 4, Witch Dress 3. These are the main big ones. You can get to 170 with them, but it'll be difficult. So, yeah, not bad. And then we start getting above that. So your Modena 3, Emperor's Dress 5, which is like the hardest armor to get in the game right now, by far. But it'll get you to it'll get you 42, Richie Dress 2. They're all really good dresses or pieces of armor. So That being said, most of them they're all pretty expensive, so just keep that in mind. Finally, going down, we got our Christmas dress 3. None of the list dresses really matter. And then we get to the 45 defenses, right? Like I said, Skull Dress, Hell Armor, and Richie Dress. These all hit 45s with good stats. And then Nightmare Dress is a straight upgrade from Hell Armor, which secondaries aren't as good. But again, it can upgrade to the Nightmare Dress too. Going up, 47 defense, Modena Dress 4. Second best, in my opinion, best armor in the game. And then finally Nightmare Dress 2, which is the, in not my opinion, best armor in the game. Right? And so that's kind of how you look at it. And again, this spreadsheet will be available underneath this YouTube video. I'm going to put a copy of it there. But now we're going to look at shields. And as you'll see, there are not quite as many shields, but we'll look through it, right? So for our 20 defense shields, you've got Modena Shield, Meadow Shield, and X Shield. These two both drop from bosses and then this one drops from master keys as well. So that would be the reason to use those. Otherwise, I would just wait till you get a 25 defense ring. X Shield sells for 85 gems. So if you just need that shield to get to 151 for whatever reason, I guess you could go ahead and buy it, but I would just wait for a 25 defense shield personally. Going down, our 23 defense shields. Nightmare Shield 2, if you want to craft Nightmare Shield 3, it's a good one. Other than that, though, that drops from Master Key. Chocolate Sword drops from Master Key. Oh my gosh. And Moonblade Shield, you can craft. That is its saving grace, as it takes about 50 evil bars. So if you just wanted to craft a shield, you can do that. Not super useful. And then we're getting into our 24 defense shields. So Stag Shield 2 drops from Master Keys and is craftable. Lava Shield is craftable in Combo Book ZX, which means not many people have it. The Fortune Shield is craftable for Master Keys and drops from the Fortune boss, but if you are using this shield, if you need the shield, it's going to be pretty hard to kill Fortune. Moon Clips 4 is the most relevant one here, as you can just buy it for gems. But finally, we're getting to the 25 defense shields. Red Dream Shield is the most relevant by far. It drops from the Santa boss, which people are very willing to carry you through if you just pay him a little bit of Vulcan. So it's really good. Yeah, again, none of these are very valid. Again, these two both drop from Master Keys. So if you get them, nice. If not, just pay for Santa carries. Nightmare Shield 3 is, I would say, best shield in the game because of what it costs compared to the Face of Makara, right? Face of Makara has better defense, but it's so hard to craft just to make Nightmare Shield 3. It'll take so long to make this. I mean, if you do make it, great, but Nightmare Shield 3 is a lot cheaper and gives really good defense, and it gives more health than the Reinforced Face of Makara. This one gives 15 HP, whereas this only gives 10. Now, finally, helmets. And I've got a lot of them. So I'm not going to go through every helmet. We're just going to kind of skip. Roman hat, I am going to talk about, though. This is like one of the first helmets people make. Once you make Roman hat, you kind of don't need to make a helmet for a little while. I mean, you can, but if you're like 1 or 2 defense off from 151, you could make a Rooster hat or a Royal Mask, but it's not super necessary most of the time. Now, as we get into the 10 defense helmets, right? If we look here, Christmas Elf drops from Santa. Pumpkin Box you can buy for gems. This drops from enemies in Forbidden City. This also drops from enemies in Forbidden City. Pumpkin Helm is craftable in Combo Book ZX and is my favorite helmet in the game and gives really good stats. I highly recommend making this, personally. Next, as we go down, Evil Pineapple, can drop from Fruit Loop Arena, if not, Master Keys. Lava Helm is craftable in Book ZX, gives really good stats. Bear Deer, this drops from Santa Boss as well. So, if you need an 11 defense helmet, just kill Santa Boss a bunch. These are craftable from the Blacksmith, however, you need the version 1, which drops during the Easter event. So if you miss the Easter event, don't worry about these. There's a lot of them. We're going to kind of skip most of these. We're getting to 12 defense helmets. Ghost Hat. This used to be a very popular option. You buy it for, I believe, 225 gems. It's been outclassed now, and I'll show you why. We're gonna skip these. This drops from Master Keys. The RoboMask 7 drops from Master Keys. It's really good if you can get it, though. That being said, Dr. Pumpkin, right here. I would recommend making this helmet as soon as you can. It is a better version of the Pumpkin helmet, and it gives 12 defense, and it can be upgraded for only 2 Dark Hearts. Very good. Very, very good. Moving on, Nightmare Helmet 2. This used to be the meta for getting 151. People would buy Moonclips 4, Hell Armor 2, and then they would craft Nightmare Helmet 2 to get them to 151. I don't recommend doing that. Now that Santa drops a 25 defense shield, I would just farm him and make Dr. Pumpkin 1, personally. Moving on, all these bunny masks are really good. Specifically, Nerd Bunny, I believe, is the best one. But none of them are better than Dr. Pumpkin 2. Just make Dr. Pumpkin 2. It's the best hat in the game. Well, that's a lie. It's not. But for the material cost, it's the best helmet in the game. That being said, RoboMask 8 is also really, really good. The rest of these, not super great. Then finally, Nightmare Helm 3 and 4. I think if you're making Nightmare Helm, it should be the last item you make. I'd make Nightmare Shield before I make Nightmare Helm, personally. But that is just me. If you really like your shield, then don't do that. Now, moving on to rings. These are all the 40 and 45 defense rings right here. Right, so all these are obtainable through gems, crafting, boss drops. Boss drops, events, combo books, and master keys, right? So your armor ring 5s are what you should spend your first 500 gems on when you first start playing the game. And then chocolate 4s, these can drop from Santa. So if you can get Santa carries early on before you have both your armor ring 5s, you could save 250 gems by paying for Santa carries. Pumpkin rings are available for purchase during the Halloween event, and they drop from master keys. Don't buy them. They're not worth it. Armor ring 6s. These you can buy for gems or drop from master keys. They're 755 gems. I would recommend buying these if you're working on 161 or 171 defense, but I would still recommend buying 2 armor ring 5s at the start of the game to get you going, and then buy these later on. Chocolate 5s, you use armor ring 6s to craft them. They're the rings I use. They're very good. Now, the bunny rings. These can all be obtained during the Easter event. The Mad Bunny ring regens health over time. The Nerd Bunny ring regens mana over time. And the Q Bunny ring gives poison immunity. This is a very, very good ring. I highly recommend, if you can, getting your hands on a Q Bunny ring. It is hard, though, as you can only do it during the Easter event, and you have to grind a lot of Easter eggs. And finally, Moon Ring. It's pretty good, but it only drops from Master Keys, so most people will not get one of those. And then this is all using only 40 and 45 defense rings. However, there are better rings, which I have right here. These are all the 50 plus defense rings. These can only be obtained from Master Keys, though. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money gambling, you can skip this section. But I just want to talk about them. Armor Ring 7 gives 50 defense and 10 health. It's decent. Jewel of Corruption gives 50 defense and I believe 17 health, with the rest of the stats being okay, kind of low. Jewel of Devil, 51 defense, gives 9 extra damage and 7 extra health, with the rest of the stats being okay. Jewel of Jordan, still one of the best rings in the game. It gives 20 bonus health, as well as some other stats everywhere else. And finally, Jewel of Makara, the highest defense ring in the game. 52 defense, and I believe 15 health, if I'm remembering correctly. It is extremely good. So now, what do I say is the meta of Pixel Survival 2? And so what I mean by this is, what is the fastest way to gear up in this game? What you would do is you would first get 2 Armor Ring 5s. While doing this, you are going to make Hell Armor 2. After you have this, buy the ninja character, and then pay for Santa carries, right? Now, by doing this, right, you will get the 25 defense shield. So this would give you 25. What am I doing? Okay, hold on. We're just gonna cross it out. Pay for Santa carries, and this will get you to the 25 defense shield, and then finally craft Dr. Pumpkin. Now this will get you to your 151 mark. After this, I would work on Nightmare Dress 1 and 2 AR6s, right? This will get you to your 160, maybe 170, if I remember correctly. Let's check. This is why I made the spreadsheet. So if you got a 45 defense armor, 2 45 defense rings, yeah, this will get you to 171 because this will be 25 here and this will be 12 here. So I get you to 171, and then finally you can make Nightmare Dress 2 and Dr. Pump 2. And then here, if we go up here to 50, you've got 245s. Now here you are going to be at 179. So then you would make Nightmare Shield 3, and that will get you to 181. Right, so I'm going to reiterate this one more time. The current meta for Pixel Survival 2. Buy 2 Armor Ring 5s. While you are doing this, start working on crafting Hell Armor 2 and crafting Sarugi 4. This is defense video, but I still want to mention this. After you buy your 2 Armor Ring 5s, while you're still working on Hell Armor 2, buy the ninja character and keep working on Sarugi 4. After this, pay for Santa carries until you get a 25 defense shield. Once you have your 25 defense shield, start working on crafting Dr. Pumpkin. At this rate, you should have 2 Armor Ring 5s, Hell Armor 2, Red Dream Shield, Sarugi 4, and eventually Dr. Pumpkin 1. Then you're going to craft Nightmare Dress 1 and buy 2 Armor Ring 6s. Now you've got 2 Armor Ring 6s, Sarugi 4, Dr. Pumpkin 1, and Nightmare Dress. After this, you are going to work on Nightmare Dress 2, as well as 2 Chocolate Ring 5s. This is going to put you in that 171 defense range. And then finally, you are going to craft Dr. Pumpkin 2 and a Nightmare Shield 3, getting you to 181 defense. Now, this is the absolute meta. I think there are better ways to play the game. Like I said, I don't like Nightmare Dress. That's just the most efficient way to play the game if you are interested. Now, that is all I have right now. One more thing to reiterate defense. There are defense boosts about every 50 defense, 51, 101, 151. However, every point of defense, especially above 151, helps you out. So even if you go from an 11 defense helmet to a 12 defense helmet, that's still going to help you out. So just keep in mind, the more defense, the less damage you take. But you still want to think about your other stats like health, stamina, magic, and damage.
All right, to anyone who made it to the end, congratulations. I know that was a marathon, but I hope you enjoyed it. Next video is going to be on bosses, how to fight them, what they drop, all that good stuff. So I hope you're ready for that. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. See you later.